two, a three, come on.
A lot of things. I still am a lot of things. I'm a son, a husband, a father, a brother, and a friend to many, enemy hopefully to none or very few. But yeah, my name is Bisi Oloni. Middle name is John, and primarily I'm a singer, songwriter. I do media production. I do event coordinating and facilitating as well. So I've got a bit in. I do a bit of music production as well as arranging and the rest of it that goes into the music becoming wholesome. And so yeah, those are bits of me in a nutshell. I studied performing arts at the University of Oloni. Graduated many moons ago. And yeah, I'm happy to do what I do. I act, I direct, I dance, and yeah, I do stuff like that. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell, I think. I would say that my path to creativity, to music composition and songwriting, poetry, and all those other elements that go into music started from that tender age. By the time I was 5, 6, 7, we started, playing with words and tunes, and all the records and everything that we'd heard started to come together in terms of making our own songs up. So it turned into writing songs that had a bit more meaning. Teenage young boys had a crush on a girl, and then you want to express it in poetry, like most of my friends did. I was able to go a step further and turn it into a song, and they'll say, "Wow, you wrote that for me?" And well, the guys might have had money and good looks and all that, but I probably had the gift of the gab in poetry and song. It was all just fun and games, really. But yeah, it's part of it.
You keep blessing me, blessing me, blessing me every day. Baba mi eshe, your mercies I see every day. Oh, you're my shelter. In trouble and darkness and weakness, you never let me down. And you're my helper. I look to my left and I look to my right, your love abounds, yeah.
Releasing a body of work and being in music are they're probably parallel but kind of different. As a teenager, I actually started off in a band with a gentleman called Austin Enielu, and he put this band together and was looking for a lead singer. So I was probably 17, 18, 19 at the time, and he thought, yeah, I fitted the bill, and so he enlisted me, and I started singing with him, and I was the lead singer in his band called the A Connection. That's his band, Austin's Connection, and we toured a bit. We did a few campuses and shows and private functions and so on and so forth. And he actually started to put an album together for me. At the time, my parents probably thought I should study, face my education, not go into full-time music. Life was a lot different then. You look at all the other musicians around and they didn't have much to show for it in terms of money and material things. So my parents thought, probably wisely too, because you don't know where that journey could have ended, I think my parents knew they knew a lot, and they knew what was best for me at the time. So they wanted me to study, get a good education, and one thing led to another. I started out professionally as a media person, doing radio and TV and all that. And the music was always there in the background, and I kept writing. I've kept writing ever since, probably over 150, 200 songs in my catalog, probably some of which are not relevant anymore, but you never know. So yeah, music has always been a part, and I brought out some work a while before that weren't, the work wasn't released as an album, but they're out there as well. If people search, they'll find them. So yeah, music has always been there, but then I took a conscious step about 5 years ago to release a proper album that could be distributed in the conventional way, online, on CDs and things like that. People could buy and purchase. So I thought, these ideas we have, we might as well put them out there, because art is not for the artist, it's for the world. So you put your work out there for people to enjoy and appreciate, and you've contributed your quota to the life of people, to society, and it's a legacy for eternity, you know. So that's why I decided at that point, no more procrastination, just put it out there and let the music do the talking. That was probably 1992, when I'd come fresh out of NYSC, and this young gentleman at the time who had done some commercials for some adverts, some narrations and things like that, a man called Deji Komolafe used to work at Radio Kwara Oloni at the time. He thought, hey, look, you've been doing this for me even while you were in university. Why don't you come on radio? He had a radio show that he produced at the time, and he was a newscaster, and there's so many other things as well on the station. Said, why don't you come in alongside me, and I'll bring you into radio and the media? And I said, okay. I didn't have a job, I didn't have anything, so I went in one day and he said, okay, can you present this music program? And I said, okay. Right, threw me into the deep end on a Saturday morning. I said, present this music. And so I said, okay, I have a selection of tracks that I want to use. I said, okay, go ahead. And because I was into music already anyway, I knew a lot about the artists. I used to read magazines, music magazines and all that, so I knew a lot about both Nigerian and foreign artists. So I was able to talk about the artists and then introduce the music, and he thought, wow, I did such a flawless job. I didn't think so, but he did. And yeah, the bosses bosses at the station heard the broadcast and thought, okay, let's retain this guy and let him at least come in once or twice a week, cast news, do music programs, and so on and so forth. Since music was my first love anyway, I was happy to do that. It wasn't tokens, it was quite reasonable. I mean, it paid for a few things back then. So I was happy to do it for what it gave back to me, and I'm grateful for that opportunity. The following year, I think I did both NTA Oloni, 2 programs on there, and I still retained the radio program until it came to a point, I think 95 or so, I stopped doing radio and I went fully into the TV thing. I think because of time. I ran a business, which was a media production business as well in Oloni at the time, which made sure that I didn't have enough time for both radio, TV, and my own business. So I just did TV, and the rest is history. Here I am. Well, I wouldn't particularly describe myself as an expert. We all learn every day, and there's so much I still don't know that I'm hoping to learn, even from the likes of you guys and young people out there doing a great job. So it's not about experience sometimes, it's about catching up and being at the forefront of things, you know, learning the new technologies, learning the new techniques, and keeping your knowledge up to date, which a lot of my generation probably struggle with, including myself. So I would say hard work, dedication, and just plugging away, learning and learning and learning more, and applying that knowledge to the work in the industry will go a long way. And also not feeling you've gotten to that point where you know, where you think you know you've arrived. There's never that point in this industry because things keep evolving every day. So as a young person, be prepared to put in the hard work, put in the skills. Of course, you need to have a flair for it, but if you don't have a particular flair for it, you can still, there's so many areas within the media industry that you can fit yourself into, and I'm sure if you have that desire and zeal, knowledge, intelligence, and hard work, sky's the limit for you. Everything that you need a good result out of requires hard work and will be a challenge. It's the overcoming that challenge in unique way, in a proactive way, in a dynamic way. That's what's going to make the difference between probably a good product and a bad product. Already I spend a lot of time editing pictures, footage and all that, and putting them together. So with music as well, it's all about putting ideas together and them to gel. So first I think you have to think about the idea in your head. So once you imagine it and conceive it, you can bring it to being. I think first and foremost, you have the ideas, and then you set about the skill set of making them become a reality. Back in the day, it was all analog. You had to tell the bassist what to do, the keyboardist what to do, or they would come with their own feel of the music. But nowadays, I produce my demos pretty much with a MIDI keyboard and a computer. And I send that demo out to professionals who can play those instruments a lot better. And they feel sometimes that, okay, that chord doesn't work. I think this is what you're trying to achieve there, and so on and so forth. And so I think from the creative perspective, technology has made things a lot better now than it probably would have been back in the day. So it's not as bad a challenge, although it still takes time and a lot of brain work, and you have to really sow your strength and mind and body into it for it to become a reality. What inspires my songs? I would say, I mean, a lot of people have tried to take me down the path of Holy Spirit must be talking seriously to you and all that, but I would say no. But I think God has a way of whispering stuff to you all the time and you're not even aware of. And I would say that even for people who don't sing gospel music, I mean, when I wasn't singing gospel, or when I don't write gospel songs, like I still write songs that are not gospel, where does the inspiration come from? And I think that in answer to that question, I would say all inspiration for creativity comes ultimately from God. You know, we might think we're smart, but hey, who gives us the smartness? We might think, oh, we have a depth of skill. What empowers us to have that skill? So I would say ultimately God inspires. How I come about my songs is quite strange. I mean, it's different for everyone. I wouldn't say strange, really. Everything seems to come to me at once, both the tune, the words, the beats, the instruments, everything. It all just fills my head in some swell swoop. You know, I get the tune and the beat, and then I get an idea, and then I infuse those things with the words. So I guess my mood at the time speaks seriously into the songs, and that's how they come about. So most times within the course of one day, the basic outline of the song is pretty much done. Sometimes within an hour or two, the outline of the song is done. And then I need to find the right words that rhyme, or, you know, that comes subsequently over 2-3 days, a week, a month, 6 months sometimes. So sometimes I've abandoned the song because it wasn't gelling. And all of a sudden, 6 months down the line, an idea, oh, this is what I should put in that song. And so that just comes in there. I get a lot of inspiration from other artists as well, other musicians, other singers, songwriters. I listen to lots of music, and so sometimes in terms of their style, their poetry, their kind of lyrics, diction, you know, the choice of words and so on and so forth, I kind of try, okay, this guy's done it this way, let me do it this way as well. And I believe there's nothing wrong in emulating a good idea. If an idea is good and you see this works, why not? If it works for him, maybe it will work for me. And then you try to adapt it to your own style, to your own flavor. So I think that's how primarily my songwriting comes about. I try to be myself. I try to be original. And then, yeah, I just put work out based on that. A lot of things I listen to 3 days down the line and I say, hey, scratch that. That sounds so bad or terrible, and I just chuck it. But I don't chuck it so far that I can't retrieve something from it. So like this last song I did, the Make You Can't See, it came about from like 3 or 4 different songs that I had done individually that were not even Afrobeat. And then I took bits of them where I started singing the Afrobeat one in my head. Make you come see, waiting my God you do for me. And it was just that was it. And I thought, hey, that can't be the whole song. And then I looked at some of the other songs I discarded before and said, okay, I could take that from there. And this instrumental idea I had in my head, okay, let's add that to it. And so bit by bit, I fused in about 3 or 4 different songs and instrumentals that I had in my head. I just fused them together and it became this song. So that's why you see different sections of the song having different elements, and there's the jazzy bits, there's the chorusy bits, and there's the chants, and there's so much going on in the song. So it comes from a different variety of different sources within the same head of mine. So yeah, inspiration there for you.
Make you come see, waiting my God you do for me. Make you come see, waiting my God you do for me. Hey. Shout, why are they dancing? You they wonder why are they jump about?
Oh yes, that was such a fun track to do, right from the writing, like I just explained now, to the actual production. There's a family friend of mine whose daughter posted lots of stuff and still does on Facebook. And one of them was her husband singing to her on their wedding anniversary. And that caught my attention. I said, wow, number one, this is very romantic. I love this. Two, I think this guy's got a certain skill that I'm probably looking for. And I went further to check his online resources on YouTube and even Facebook, and I found a lot of lovely pieces that he had put together. I don't want to plug his business particularly, but his name is Nsisong Udi. He is from Port Harcourt. He's a brilliant producer. I contacted the wife, who gave me the details of the husband, and then we started talking, and I put the ideas to him, and he said, yeah, he can roll with that. And there's 2 other tracks on the EP, and he said, yeah, he could do that as well. And so we got into a very long process, which was very fun. We fought a bit, we became friends again, we fought some more, just like all producers and artists do. And then, yeah, we eventually met up in Oloni, Nigeria, and I saw that this guy was a bunch of talent, right from the instrumentals he brought along to how he was able to bring the best out of the other instrumentalists that were playing on the track, to the background vocals, even myself. He brought out things in me that I didn't know were in there, and it was just like divine direction, the way I met up with him. And then that process was done, and it came to the visuals, the videos, and we had such fun doing that. Once I heard the track, I decided, wow, this has to just be grand and be done at a very good professional creative level. So I got in friends like Dr. Felix Sakishipe of the University of Oloni Performing Arts Department, who handled the choreography that you see there, beautiful choreography. He got in the top dancers at his disposal. And then he got the costumes, and he got everything, you know. I didn't have to lift a finger, he just did everything. Brilliant. And then I got a good friend of mine as well in Oloni, who's into media production as well. His company is Sound on Vision Frames in Oloni. Check him out. He's Dare. He is Dare Ashonibare, and he's a brilliant, very level-headed gentleman in the media. So all the equipment and everything, the rigs and the drones and everything. Then the cameraman, of course, Suleiman, a Muslim, but he was very excited to work on this gospel project and said, wow, this is great, I want to be part of it. And he gave his best. He was having so much fun. He was even dancing along at some point. We had to say, hey, calm down, you're the cameraman here. So it was fun for everyone, the instrumentalists and all of us. Unwinding. I run a very tight schedule normally with work and everything, music, with family life and everything. I think I unwind with family. Try to spend quality time with family. We try to watch movies when we can, both at home and out in the cinema. We try to eat out, not as frequently now as we used to. We watch movies a bit more than we eat out these days. Well, I would say do a lot of events normally as a business. So I do the media production of lots of events, week in, week out. So I get to unwind while I work as well, but that's not proper unwinding, is it? But then I have a network of friends and family, my wife, my son, and then we tend to enjoy our time with friends and family. And I used to be a keen exercise person, not so much now. I still try to do a bit, try to keep myself in check and healthy. So I try to do a bit of that as well. And yeah, just I like traveling. I make documentaries when I travel, and I'm a keen YouTuber, so I put my videos out there on the internet for people to enjoy and learn a thing or two from. So in terms of unwinding, that's what I do. And of course, a lot of my downtime is taken up by songwriting. So I sit down in a place for 2 hours and I'm trying to get to the end or the middle or the start of the song. And yeah, it's quite relaxing and therapeutic for me.